You need to stop infantilizing yourself. It's like, we're just stupid people doing stupid stuff. You're 30 years old and you need to be aware of what's happening in the world and that your reach and your platforms mean something.
Steiny body language analysis, cock shame. That's what he's doing. You see that? Yeah. I mean, I have an opinion. He should have definitely spoken on this because I know his fan base is going to eat his ass. Dog, you didn't say a single damn word. It's 31 minutes in.
All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Full Send podcast. This is actually our very first live episode we've ever done. It's an interesting one for our first live. But
We're making history.
We're making history. We have Steiny here, and I want to welcome Bassem Youssef to the Full Send podcast. Thank you for being with us. How you doing?
Thank you for having me, guys.
Of course. Obviously, last week was controversial for us, to say the least. We had someone on the podcast, very controversial, as I said, to say it in the least form. What was your reaction when you saw that we had Benjamin Netanyahu on the Full Send podcast?
Well, I didn't know about what's. I am sorry to say, like because I'm not your demographic, so I didn't know who the Nelk Boys is. But like, I found my DMs exploding. It's like, did you see what the Nelk Boys did? It's like, who the fuck are the Nelk Boys? And then I didn't know that you're that big. I'm sorry. Again, I'm not your targeted demography, so I apologize for my ignorance. So, and then I started following what's going on and the aftermath. And I being in the public eye for 15 years, I understand what does it mean to be in a very tough situation. And now trying to crawl out of that situation, it's difficult, especially with the backlash, because the bigger you are, the bigger the backlash. Well, I mean, let's be honest. There's a lot of people when they knew that I'm on the podcast, like, yeah, go there, do them, have them. And I said, like, there's nothing to gain from just canceling people without knowing what went wrong. Because I think it is better to actually to learn from what's happening and look at the bigger picture instead of just like, destroying two young people like you. The bigger picture is, why did this happen? And why was this... were you used? Part of you is your responsibility and part of you not knowing. So I heard many of the justification that happened saying that, it was a great opportunity. And I'm like, wouldn't you like get him on the podcast? I said, yes. If somebody told me, would you interview Netanyahu? I was like, hell yeah, but I'll be prepared. And I think the biggest part of you that you were not prepared, 2 years under like the biggest genocide in our history, you guys had no idea what's going on. If somebody told me, hey, you're going to be tomorrow on the starting five of the Lakers in the NBA, I was like, that's a great opportunity, but I'm not prepared. I'm not going to make a fool out of myself. Mm-hmm. So it's not about you platforming someone or someone giving a chance for free speech. You were used, right? And it didn't start with the podcast. It started 2 years ago, in March 2023, when you went to Israel, because I know, like I told you, that Israel has increased their Hasbara budget, which is their propaganda machine, with $150 million. And part of that money goes to influence people in college campuses, hire influencers like you, getting them into fancy trips to Israel, giving them this filtered, layered picture that is made up, that is fake. I mean, I watched it yesterday and I was cringing not because like you're showing how cool Israel is or they have nightclubs.
You're saying our Nelk video in
Israel?
Yeah.
So, because when you mentioned Palestine, do you remember? We're going to a place that is so dangerous now. Palestine. And then you are in a bus, and then like special forces come in and kidnap you, and this kind of like IDF simulation, counterterrorism, and then they're telling you, we have a dog that only breeded in Israel. It can kill a man. And you understand that like the kind of psychopathic behavior of a country that like tells you like part of its like tourist attraction that we're killing terrorists and we're breeding dogs to kill human beings. And by the way, I don't know, part of the anger is like just last year there was like a kid with autism and Down syndrome that was killed by one of these dogs. And then the next scene is let's go and see Palestinian family. And the only Palestinian family in this video are just like a bunch of Bedouins in a tent, a guy who's married 2 wives, and he tells you, my whole life is about camels and goats and chicken. And then you find like a 60 years old one, I just live on pita bread and milk. So even if October 7th didn't happen, you were used in a propaganda machine to tell people this is what you need to know about Palestinians. They're just like a bunch of people with cows and goats marrying 2 people, living in a tent, happy with the pita bread and milk. So you were recruited in March 2023 and you were activated in July 2025, right? So, and I'm saying this because I'm saying this out there for all of the influencers around there, because there's a lot of people got backlash. There's influencers went there like wearing IDF. It's like, we didn't know what we're going on. Like you, it's like, I didn't know I'm kissing a Jewish wall.
I mean, yeah, I can definitely admit that. I mean, I think we were both just ignorant to what was going on over there. And obviously, you know, I knew he was, I'll be honest, I thought he was controversial, but I was definitely ignorant to what was going on in that area. And I can admit that. And it was definitely, I wish we could have gone back and, you know, had 2 weeks to sit down with someone like yourself and just, we should have grilled him 50,000, 100,000 times harder, but something we can't get back, and we'll probably always regret
Of course,
that,
but I know you can't get back this like trip in Israel, but I'm just telling you, this was like part of a much bigger propaganda effort, right? And a country that spends $150 million on its image, they are covering something. They when they spread all of these propaganda, it's like, we're not starving people in Gaza. You understand that this conversation has been happening for 2 years. First of all, I'm not absolving you from your trip. You guys are not little kids. You are 30 years old, right? People in your age have families and they have a career, and you need to stop. I'm just saying this because you're my little brothers, but you're not little, right? You need to stop infantilizing yourself. It's like, we're just stupid people doing stupid stuff. You're 30 years old and you need to be aware of what's happening in the world, and that your reach and your platforms mean something and it affects people. And I think the biggest reason why people were so upset for you, not because you brought someone and you didn't contest him, that it is the talking point that he used is the same talking points that have been used for 2 years to kill thousands of people, right? So, I mean, and part of the reason why people were so angry is that, forget even if you don't know anything about the conflict, there was like a total lack of critical thinking. I mean, you guys asked him the one good question when you told them in October 7th, how could this be allowed to happen? Everybody knowing that Mossad is like a crazy, intelligent thing that infiltrates people and put bombs in pages. How did you not see that coming? But also, a critical thinking is, how come an attack was allowed for 6 hours in the most heavily surveilled part in the world? You understand, like in 2019, they killed like hundreds of people just because they approached the wall between Gaza and Israel. You understand? They killed. You have like copters, like drones. You have snipers. Suddenly, for 6 hours, you remember what Netanyahu told me? How big is Israel? He told me it's like as big as Rhode Island.
As Jersey, right?
Yeah. Like you understand the distance between Gaza and Tel Aviv is 44 miles. You understand that he was just bragging to you that like, hey, we went across 3 countries to bomb Iran, but you can't have a single helicopter coming out to defend your people. Like the October 7th was used in order to tell people, look to the Jewish people that were killed. But you don't understand that you pay $millions as Americans, as Canadians.
I think that October 7 was hubris and racism more than it was like deliberately a deliberate way to allow Palestinians to kill like Israelis so that they could finalize their ethnic cleansing campaign. There are people who believe this. There are people who think like, oh, it was an inside job, like 9/11. They didn't need like 6 hours of killings to take place for them to be geared up for this ethnic cleansing campaign. There are like suspicious things that happened on that morning, which of course they knew. There's no way they didn't know, by the way. The fucking Egypt warned them ahead of time. Unit 8200 was directly surveilling the training that was taking place. I don't think they thought it would be this deadly. That's where the hubris comes in. That's where the racism comes in. Where I do not think that the Israeli administration, the security apparatus, thought that Palestinians, the Palestinian resistance forces, were capable of doing this much damage. They thought at most maybe a couple hostages, maybe a little bit of a resistance, maybe a couple soldiers died in the process, and then they can use that as a reason to continue conducting like this final push, this big push. That's where I think the racism and the hubris plays a role. Mismanaging troop positions by focusing them over to the West Bank because they were too busy doing ethnic cleansing in the West Bank. You have to remember, you have to put yourself in the shoes, in the mindset of like a supremacist. If you're a white supremacist, for example, a black person being in the vicinity of a white woman is already enough of a scar, right? That's why they fucking hate race mixing. They like cannot comprehend it. They're like, how could this have happened? This is like a stain on the entire white race. The fact that these people that have been kept caged in perpetuity, that have been actively dehumanized, were capable of crafting a military operation that took such an unimaginably high death toll from regular Israeli society alongside the Israeli military was a breaking point for a lot of supremacists, okay? And this includes liberal Zionists as well, because Zionism is an inherently ethno-religious supremacist ideology. Yesterday, you said 800 civilians died during October 7th, yet I heard Bassem Youssef saying 370. No, it's not 370. It's 800. It's 800 civilians, 400 soldiers. I don't know what he's saying. I don't know why he's saying 370, but it's 1,200 total. Now, of course, we do not know how much of the civilian death toll was born out of Israel's Hannibal directive. How much of that was the helicopter shooting at the cars escaping the Nova Festival, and how much of that was the shelling from the tanks at the kibbutzim? We do not know. But he might be counting IDF veterans as like soldiers too, which they're not. They're not. No. That's what Israel fucking claims. That's bullshit. That's what Israel does for Palestinians. They say, oh, you're affiliated with Hamas, the political party. Like, no. Just because someone is an IDF veteran doesn't mean that they were enemy combatant, chatters. There's a reason. There's a legal designation between a civilian. Veterans are not active combatants, okay? They're not. Just as Hamas militants that are in hospital are not fucking valid military targets. They're not. They're not in fucking battle. You cannot just go into a hospital and kill someone who fought alongside Hamas. You cannot do that.
It was a deliberate way to let people get slaughtered. And what did he tell you when you asked him what happens? Like, we're still investigating it. Really investigating it for 2 years? You don't know how people for 6 hours continued to kill people?
I mean, the reason why they can't investigate it any further is because, let's be real, the Hannibal directive that Yoav Gallant admitted was utilized on October 7 means that they killed a bunch of the Israeli civilians, okay? That is literally true. That is undeniable. We do not know what the percentage of the civilian death toll came from the Israeli military itself, but no one can dispute that the Israeli military killed a bunch of Israeli civilians on October 7. This is the reason why they can't fucking do a full-blown investigation. Also because they relied heavily on just lying about what took place on October 7 over and over again. In spite of all of the atrocities, the actual atrocities that took place, it wasn't enough. They had to just like fucking make it up. Like, oh, they put babies in ovens. That's the real reason why they don't want to fucking investigate it.
We went on other people's podcasts and they told you, guys, they used the Hannibal directive. They killed their own people. And I sent you all of the stuff. What was your reaction? Dude, that's conspiracy. Again, people were angry because you didn't read what's going on there, right? Israel uses something called blitzkrieg. You know what's blitzkrieg? It means flash attack. This is the Nazi did. They do like a very coordinated attack very quickly, very fast. It's like very simple messaging. Decapitated babies, mass rape, right? So there's an emotional response. People get so angry, and then after a couple of days, everybody goes back to their Netflix, to their UFC fight, to the NBA, and the people who stay, it's like, wait a minute, that is fucked up. So the people who stay and hold them accountable will be called fringe, obsessed, anti-Semitic. Like you said, oh, dude, this is conspiracy theory. It's not. And this is why I have like sent you all of the videos so you can be educated. When you were on a podcast and they were telling you, dude, they spit on Christians in Israel. It's like, I was in Israel, nobody spit on me. Yes, of course, because you were in a curated propaganda.
Also, you're Jewish. That's the one thing. You can get away with a lot as a Jewish person in Israel. Like, you have to literally be like Norm Finkelstein to not be allowed into the state. Now, maybe post-October 7th, things might have changed a little bit in terms of like anti-Zionist Jews and like how much they're allowed into the state. But like, it's a fucking supremacist state. And because it's a supremacist state, because Zionism is an ethno-religious supremacist attitude, yeah, when you're Jewish, even if you're like, Israel can suck my... Israel still has limitations on what it will do to you. It's just true. Like, there is no... That is the reason why Andre X, who is a Jewish from Ukraine, who went to Israel when Russia invaded Ukraine, who became an anti-Zionist activist, can just go to the West Bank and put his body as a Jew in the West Bank between the IDF and the settlers and the fucking Palestinians. Oh, he's from Russia. Sorry, I thought he was from Ukraine. The messenger being Bassem is a poison pill for a lot of their audience. Should have been a Gabor Mate or Ilan Pape. Ilan Pape is never going on the fucking Nelk Boys. And I suggested Gabor Mate to them. They didn't go with it. There was no shot that they were getting a Palestinian, okay? I told them that. Don't say, or maybe a Palestinian. What fucking Palestinian? DJ Khaled? What Palestinian would go on the Nelk Boys after they interviewed literally Adolf Hitler? Are you guys crazy? It's like demanding that a Jewish person, or it's like asking a Jewish person during the Holocaust to go on a show after Adolf Hitler was interviewed. Like, what? That's crazy.
You remember when you were like in that bus and there was a guy with a scarf? It's like, oh, that guy with a scarf, like that. I don't know if you or someone of your friends said, he looks suspicious. It's not that cold. So the only representation of Palestinian are either people staying in a tent or a suspicious guy with a scarf. And I don't know who edited that. If it seemed like Mossad edited it, and if you guys have edited that, is fucked up, because it just solidifies the same racist tropes about a group of people that...
I mean, Miriam Adelson has been up their ass for a long time. Like, she literally, I think she was the one who made them do the Israel video.
Being slaughtered and starved to death right now, and then they distract you with questions like, it is Hamas, it's the people, they're not allowing aid in. And you understand that this is the same exact conversation that's been happening for 2 years. They bomb hospitals. It's not us. Yeah. It's Hamas. Oh, it's us. But there were Hamas underneath it. It's maybe a mistake. Then after bombing hospitals, they bomb schools. And then they bomb entire residential areas. Then they kill women and children. And now, 2 years later, we're discussing the same question. But like, are we starving them, or is it...
Why are you assuming it was her? No, I know. I forget who told me. I think she might even literally show up in the video at some point. I also think that she played a role in this BB interview too. Miriam Adelson, Sheldon Adelson's wife, not made them. I mean, like, fucking facilitated it. Also, she's insanely powerful and also singularly invested in doing Hasbara.
Hamas starving them. You see the cycle of deceit, the cycle of lies, the cycle of propaganda. So that's why I'm not coming here to say like, oh, they are starving, because I'm not going to go after each and every single lie that he said, because it's exhausting, and they have been doing that for 2 years. So I'm here to show you the patterns and the bigger picture, to understand that you are sitting with a narcissistic, psychopathic liar that's used to gaslighting people and lie them to them in their faces.
Yeah, I want to say too, yeah, we obviously, one thing that hurt me the most when we had him on was just, I have a lot of personal, friendships and stuff from people of all religions. And a lot of people were obviously just upset, and they're messaging me personally, like friends, and saying, why did you have him on and stuff? So when I told them that...
He means UFC fighters. He means Habib. He means like literally half of the UFC roster that are all from Dagestan, who was like, what the fuck are you doing, brother? What are you doing, brother? Because every one of those dudes hates Israel.
We're having you on to explain us the bigger picture. They're all very excited. So honestly, we just want to learn about this, and we obviously just...
Imagine Khabib mad at you. I mean, you got to end it before he ends it. You know what I mean? He's going to come after you.
Want to use our platform to educate people.
What do you want to learn about?
I mean, I think it would just be good for you to talk about what Netanyahu said and explain us
half Dagestan, the other half anti-Semitic MAGA. Also, Dagestan is anti-Semitic MAGA. So it's full anti-Semitic MAGA then. You just described Dagestan when you said anti-Semitic MAGA. They are literally so fucking far up the MAGA train, dude. Are you kidding me? Bro, I'm sorry. I love those guys. They're fantastic. I think they're very cool. I really respect how much effort they put into their work. Having said all of that, I've never met a bunch of dudes who are so good at fucking grappling who literally would most likely be like chemical engineers if it wasn't for the tweaker ass focus that they have on wrestling, who are clearly very smart. I've never seen a group of dudes like this be so fucking pro-Palestine and also be like pro-MAGA at the same time.
Like, you know, the way that he dehumanized the whole population. Remember when he told me, how can young people march in the streets with people who kill gays? And then he used this like overplayed lame joke, like gays for Gaza is like chicken core for KFC. And it's just like, he keeps saying it in everywhere and he just like, it sounds stupid. And they tell me they are like, they would kill women if they're not in hijab. So this guy who pretends that he cares about gays and women, and I send you the articles, like how they have actually used revenge porn in order to recruit gay people.
Yep, but that's too complicated. Just tell them Palestinians are gay as there's gay Palestinians, they're all getting killed. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. You don't have to explain to them that like the Israeli security forces are using revenge porn against like gay Palestinians in an effort to turn them into collaborators. And it's not just like gay Palestinians. They're doing it to straight Palestinians too. They're doing it to all of them. They're literally blackmailing them and doing revenge porn. They're like hacking into their phones. They're actually fucking filming them, filming and doing gay acts and shit like that. Also, gay marriage is illegal in Israel. It's not recognized by the state. You can't get gay married inside of Israel. You have to go to Cyprus. That's another thing. Also, the only anti-sodomy law that exists in fucking Gaza is a holdover from British Mandate Palestine when the British were in charge. And homosexuality has not been illegal in the West Bank for forever, pretty much. So the idea that like Palestinians are homophobic doesn't mean, even if they literally were like the most homophobic motherfuckers on the planet, that still doesn't justify ethically cleansing them. That's number one. And number two, the idea that like society doesn't contain multitudes here and they're just like really, really homophobic towards the other Palestinians who happen to be queer is fucking ridiculous.
They go into Grindr and Facebook and Instagram. Like I think you have the headlines.
The IDF goes on Grindr.
Yeah. They actually pick those gay people and then they use revenge porn in order to hire them as informants. So over the past several months, I spoke to there's a lot of queer Palestinians that actually been used by the IDF in order to actually hire them as informants. And then the same guy who cares about women and children, he already killed more than 28,000 women and children in the last.
When they say they're executing gay people, they're not executing gay people. They're executing collaborators, which is, again, up. I get it. I understand. But there has never been, throughout any sort of historic resistance against colonial violence, has there ever been a non-execution method for collaborators. That's never happened. America itself has the Espionage Act. Why does the Espionage Act exist? It's because it was implemented during times of war. It's that simple. So it's not like, this is not me saying like this is cool and great. I'm not saying that at all. But the point is there's never been a historic, there's never been any kind of form of government that has not executed collaborators, okay?
Less than a year and a half. And again, they use revenge porn. There's even a movie about it made by like an Oscar-nominated director. He's a Palestinian, and it's called Hoda Salon. And
Hamas executed a Hamas commander who was gay. He wasn't executed for being gay, though. Him being gay was not a secret. He was executed for stealing government funds. That's unjustifiable also, but they also don't murder people for being gay, yeah.
Talk about like how for very many years they have spiked women's drinks in beauty salons in order to shoot them and film them in compromised position and then use them or use their husbands. So you understand the level of pathology and the level of narcissistic behavior, the level of evil these people are doing? and then they have the audacity to come and talk about gay people and talk about women. This is crazy, man. You understand? And when I went and I sent you that stuff in order to look and verify. And this is why the reason we're doing this in live, because I invite anybody to fact check everything that I say as we go on.
So you're saying they're recruiting gay people from Palestine and using them as informants and
That's happening a lot
blackmailing
in the West Bank. Yes.
Well, so what about some of the stuff Netanyahu said? I know this is for you is probably basic, but what he said, we asked him if he was purposely starving people in Gaza, and he said Hamas is stealing the food.
It's interesting that we would actually take the war of an indicted war criminal and a guy who's been caught lying many times. Like, for example, when he say Iran is days away from creating a nuclear bomb, and there's videos of the internet of him saying many times, oh, Iran is like 5 months away, 3 months away. And you understand, when you asked him about like Iraq, oh, he said, oh, that's unfortunate. And yet he has a video saying Iraq is month away of creating weapons of mass destruction.
I've
and
seen
you remember,
that video. I've seen the video of him talking about Iran.
yeah. So you
since the
see,
90s.
you see a guy that like, if you have a friend, Steiny, and if you have a friend that consistently lies to you and you caught up lying, when would it be enough to say, okay, that guy, I'm not going to take anything he says? Now, the thing about like him saying we're not starving, it's Hamas. There's also some of the articles that I send you. There is like multiple articles of Israel killing aid workers, UN workers, saying that they are Hamas. You know, they have killed over like, I don't know the number, 100, 200 people of aid workers. They are like lining people in aid lines and then they are killing them. When they tell you,
So people that are not even involved in the conflict, they're aid workers.
I think the number is like they killed over 180 doctors, or it's just it's the numbers is like so big now you can't even like catch up with the numbers. And I was in London. They were playing the world premiere of a documentary called Doctors Under Attack. And it shows you, it's a documentary done by the BBC, by the way. It shows you how, it's good there. Yeah.
Says over 400 Palestinians.
So, and of course, it's very easy to say, oh, the United Nations is anti-Semitic. Everybody is anti-Semitic. Everybody is lying. And the only one who's not lying is Netanyahu, right? So those people that...
So like this one, for example, is this like a bombing, or is this just like they're coming and like gunning them down?
They're gunning them down. They're using drones and killing them. There's even like a whistleblower that came a couple of days ago who was working with the aid groups, and he said like, there's like a little kid who came and kissed our hands because we gave him food, and as he was walking away, the IDF shot him in the head. It's crazy, man.
And this was like almost a month ago, not only
Yeah. So
400 people, those are civilians.
Yeah, but that's that number gets updated by the minute right now. It's you can just like you can go through the headlines if you want, but the reason I'm like showing you this is that
honestly kind of impressed with these kids. They got really humbled and are trying to learn. That's difficult to do, brother. They're doing it because their entire audience yelled at them. Okay, if their audience was like sick, I can't wait to fucking chew on lung darts with their kids. By the way, they're fucking 30. All right, come on. It's ultimately good that this is happening. It's ultimately good that this conversation is taking place. This conversation should take place. And people are just fucking shitting on Steiny because apparently he didn't say anything throughout the entire process. I noticed he hasn't said anything in the 18 minutes. So
Israel is the only one who has the absolute control of getting aid in and out. And I know that you've seen on the internet, they're showing their soldiers. Here's the aid sitting here. The UN is not taking them. Dude, they are killing UN workers and calling them Hamas. If you start calling everybody Hamas, the doctors are Hamas, the kids are Hamas, the UN ordered Hamas, there is no way for people to go in and do anything. You see, you know how desperate people are? People are riding on boats and trying to get aid in these flotillas. And one of them is like a comedian that you worked with. His name is Jacob Berger. He's Jewish, by the way, from New York. And he was arrested by the IDF. And one of them, he's the only...
saw that.
And the only black dude on that flotilla, he was beaten and tortured, and he's American.
Chris Smalls.
Right? So you understand
Friend
the
of the
level of
show.
psychopathy that you're dealing with. It's not about like our word against their word anymore, because they have all of these people activated. Like they try to recruit you, whether influencers or people in the media, telling it's not starving, it's not happy, it's not our fault. You remember I told you before, it's the same argument they used before. They bombed every single hospital in Gaza. It's not us, it's Hamas. They bombed every single school in Gaza. It's not us in Hamas. They killed 60,000 people. It's Hamas' fault. You see the pattern? You see the pattern? You know that the most viral video I did with Piers Morgan is when I said like Israel is a narcissistic psychopath, like a boyfriend who fucks you over and makes you think their fault. You know why this like resonated with so many people? It's just because people know this is the narcissistic psychopathic behavior, right? So they are like a bunch of liars, a bunch of killers, a bunch of murderers, and it's easy for them to just like get out of it and say like it is Hamas.
So what is like the ideal situation in that area?
The ideal situation that Israel should not be coming in and occupying a country that's not theirs. And I know that you went there and you were raised all your life saying that this is our country, our place. You understand that Israel started by refugees from Europe, people who escaped the Nazis. This was a European problem. Most of those people were in Ukraine and Russia and Poland and Germany. And then they went through incredible hardship. Why would they come to the Middle East and take a land that belonged to other people? That is the core of the problem. The core of the problem is not just starvation or the daily killing. It is people coming in and trying to take a land from other people. There were already 2 million Arabs living there before Israel have even been conceived. And in one night, 700,000 people were displaced overnight. On 15th of May 1948, when they declared the state of Israel. You understand the amount, your grandparents are like Holocaust survivors. They wouldn't like another Holocaust to be happening in their name.
Wow.
And they wouldn't, if you have a problem.
You know, it varies. Many people don't like it, but some people certainly do like it. I'm just saying, I don't know about Steiny's grandparents, but
With Germany, go fucking take a piece of land from Germany, man. You understand like where my people are coming from? Like we were just sitting here and you have like a problem in Europe and then you were pushed on us and say like, this is our land now, get the fuck out. You understand how sick this is? You know how unfair this is? You understand? So we can discuss about like what is happening now, the situation. You need to go again, the bigger picture and understand why this happened. Those people who are Netanyahu sat in front of you and saying like, Hamas is terrorist. They are the one who actually started terrorism in the Middle East. They're one who started bombing hotels, bombing people. The amount, like if you just like go in and write the terror, and I invite the internet to actually fact check this, the terrorism of the Zionist militias in Palestine, right? The dozens of people that they have been killing. You know, all of the stuff that they have like, you know, killing pregnant women, decapitated people. This is the exact same thing that they did in massacres like Deir Yassin, there in Sabra and Shatila. They have been, you know, there's a very famous line saying like, every accusation is a confession. Every time they blame Hamas for using human shield, they are the one who's being using human shield, right? They're actually in 2005, the Israeli Supreme Court made a verdict saying you need to stop using human shield because they were using it so much. There's like a recorded 1,200 incidences of them using human shield between 2001 and 2005. That is crazy, man. Every time you see them accusing Palestinians of doing it, they have done it many times before, even more brutal.
Yeah, one thing I see on the internet now too is a lot of Americans are questioning like, is Israel our closest ally? Why are they our closest ally? Why are we sending so much money to Israel? I see it. I mean, even Trump now recently, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, it seems like he's not even agreeing with Netanyahu now. I saw Canada just recognize Palestine as a state.
It's all bullshit.
Yeah, but in the same time, Trump said like, well, I think like Canada couldn't be our partner anymore, which is crazy. You are basically sacrificing Canada, which is actually your closest ally because of Israel.
Well, what I was going to ask is why why does America consider Israel its closest ally?
No,
in your
America
opinion?
doesn't consider Israel the closest
Well,
ally.
why?
It's the
question is,
American
why is-
politicians.
Right. So why is America? Why are the American politicians so loyal to Israel?
Well, follow the money, right? 80% of Congress are openly financed by AIPAC, which is the Israeli lobby. So when you finance 80% of your Congress, your representative, suddenly a foreign country is more important than your own country, right? I think you were asked many times, Tiny, are you American first or are you Israel first? And you said, no, I'm American first. You wouldn't like to have your tax money going to a country being and using that to kill children while your fellow Americans in places like Texas and North Carolina suffering from floods and not getting the aid they get. I think there is
Being real anti-Semitic here, bro. Those are funds that Israel could be using to kill Palestinian children. I'm just saying. It is so distorted that like the counter to a fucking war criminal, like ICC arrest warrant applicant war criminal that is conducting a live streamed Holocaust is an Egyptian comedian, an Egyptian American comedian. It kind of shows you that there is no balance in this conversation. Cause like, I was thinking about that and it's like, even if he were to have like Abu Ubaidah on, like there is no equivalence morally between Abu Ubaidah and fucking Benjamin Netanyahu. There's not even a moral equivalence between, there is not even a moral equivalence between Yahya Sinwar and Benjamin Netanyahu, just on the death toll alone. Like there's just no comparison here. There is no one, like you cannot, not that you could ever interview those guys anyway, they would literally throw you in jail. That should show you the asymmetry.
the graph with the $17 billion. Only, by the way, so far since the beginning of the conflict, not the conflict, the slaughter, since October 2023, America sent Israel more than $30 billion, $17.9 billion in 2024
Also, Abu Ubaidah is not dead. Yahya Sinwar was killed.
alone. $17 billion. That's crazy. You know how many schools that you can build with that? You know how many teachers that you can pay? You know how many houses that you can give for the homeless? Why is your money going to a foreign country and using this to inflict the most evil genocide on innocent people? Right?
Right. So what's the why do you think that American politicians are?
No, I'm just told you because of the money. Like the APAC.
Oh, because they're being paid to do so.
APAC is openly bragging about financing 80% of Congress with $100 million for
Do
each
they
side.
openly brag about that?
Oh yeah. I invite everybody to go into the APAC Twitter and see them bragging about it. It's like 98% of the people that we.
It's not just AIPAC. There's so much pro-Israel institutional control because of Israel's alignment and its role that it plays in American foreign policy. It is a massively consequential influence peddling operation alongside financial ties, alongside Israel's role in America's foreign policy goals. There is no other country that gets this treatment. It just isn't. No other country has ever even been able to come near this level of influence as well. So it's you got the Mearsheimer opinion, and then you got the Chomsky opinion. Chomsky believes it's entirely because of Israel's strategic location, Israel's strategic role in American influence in the region, right, as a destabilizing factor. And then you got the Mearsheimer who says it's the lobby, it's the AIPAC lobby, it's all of the different facets of said lobby, but it's both. I think it's both. Israel being an incredibly important asset to American imperialism in the region only goes so far without a network of influence peddling through lobbying, through advocacy groups, through constantly silencing dissent under the auspices of attacking people as like anti-Semites. a censorship operation, being able to literally craft the only piece of legislation that directly goes against the First Amendment in 37 states as a foreign lobby. Can you imagine being like having anti-BDS laws for like Estonia? Like
that we promote, they win their elections. And this is the graph that I was telling you about. The US sent $17.9 billion in only 2024. This is how much you can do with that amount of money. And instead, it is going to buy weapons. It's going to settlers in the West Bank, American Jews, maybe Jews from other places who live there with like very low rent housing. They have better education, better healthcare than any American here, which is crazy. Why is my money going there? I know, Steiny, I saw you on many of the podcasts saying like it is very difficult for me as a Jewish American living.
He keeps trying to bring Steiny into the conversation, and Steiny does not even remotely entertain it. That's crazy.
And I understand it's difficult, but it was misunderstood because people said this is so tone deaf, this is so self-centered. It's not about you guys. But I kind of understood it I wanted to give you the benefit of the doubt that maybe it is difficult because there's a whole genocidal state right now using your identity and using your religion in order to commit unspeakable crimes, right? But also, you need to understand what does it mean to be a Palestinian American right now. You understand how difficult it is to a Palestinian American sitting here, seeing his family slaughtered and starved, and that is being done by their own tax money. Can you imagine? Can you imagine like you sending money to your family to, for example, build a bakery, and then you see that bakery destroyed on phone, and then TurboTax takes your money and finance the bomb that fucking bombed that bakery. You understand the kind of mind fuck that those people are living in? Yes, anti-Semitism is a real thing, but you understand that you haven't seen 3 Jewish people being shot because they spoke Hebrew. I have 3 Palestinian friends. They were in Brown University. They were speaking Arabic, and they were shot, and one of them cannot walk for the rest of his life. There was like a Palestinian kid, 6 years old, who was stabbed 26 times right after October 7th because of the kind of fear that was launched against Muslim Americans. Right? There was like an Indian Muslim kid that was almost drowned in Texas by a Jewish woman. Her name is Elizabeth Wolf, as a hate crime. If the roles were reversed, if those kids were Jewish, you wouldn't hear the end of it. But I'm telling you this, and I can see in your eyes, it's the first time you ever heard about this. This is crazy. This is manufactured. So part of me is angry at you guys for not knowing, but part of me, I have empathy for you because this is the kind of a bubble that was created intentionally by the media to tell you that all the perpetrators, the people on the other side, are the terrorists, they are the evil people, and Israel is our greatest ally. This is prime brainwashing. So you understand what I mean? So yeah. when you say like it's difficult to be Jewish, yes, I understand, but it is kind of like you are.
I think I can't speak for Steiny, but I have other Jewish friends, and what they'll say to me is,
yeah, don't speak for Steiny. Why is Steiny not speaking?
What Israel's doing right now makes it tougher to be prideful of, being Jewish.
Yeah, but the biggest thing is
but I don't want to speak for Jewish people,
but you understand. But you see, the mistake here is like now you're linking being Jewish to being pro-Israel. It's like me linking being Muslim to being pro-ISIS. It's like being proud to be German to be a Nazi, because that is what Israel is, right? And this is a regime, a state, a genocidal state that hijacked your identity as Jewish and then started to tell everybody, if you start to question Israel, you're being anti-Semitic. You know what does that tell you? That being a good Semitic means that you have to approve for starving kids, killing babies, raping prisoners in prison, genociding a whole population, kicking them out. That is what does it mean to be a good Jewish. That is crazy, man. That is actually the most anti-Semitic thing ever.
Do you think, in your opinion, what Israel's doing is making some people anti-Semitic, though?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Let me give you an example. Have you seen those videos of the IDF soldiers dancing with lingeries and toys of babies? Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Any army in the world is run by one thing: discipline. If you are in the army and you start posting like that, your commanders are either allowing you to do this, or if they don't, they will actually, what the fuck are you doing, right? Because this is the army, right? You're not allowed to just like post other than actually the army.
Steiny body language analysis, cock shame. That's what he's doing. You see that? Yeah. I have an opinion. He should have definitely spoken on this because I know his fan base is going to eat his ass. Dog, you didn't say a single damn word. It's 31 minutes in.
Kind of approving to it. So it is by design. I actually asked a professor in London, it's like, why are they actually...
Yeah, I saw the comments. Everyone is like, Steiny's not saying anything. Never seen silence speak so loud. Steiny still clearly speechless after hearing Netanyahu prefers Burger King. Did you expect anything different? Yeah, I did. I thought he'd be a little bit more active in the conversation, even if it's to like disagree with Bassem Youssef. You know what I mean?
doing that on purpose? Like, it's very easy because it is much easier for Israel to be hated and then having them conflate that hate with Jewish people. And when that happens, like, you see, anti-Semitism, give us more money to kill our enemies. You understand? It's like it's a very, very sick psychology. And the people who are paying for this are Jewish people, right? Because now you are finding yourself inheriting everything that this regime is doing, right? And it is the whole idea about like being a Jewish person is being pro-Israel. It's crazy, right? You know, like a couple of days ago, Trump pushed Colombia to pay $21 million for support the Jewish people for the psychological trauma. And it's crazy because we haven't heard of Jewish people being expelled from Colombia. There are people who lost their immigration status for standing pro-Palestine, not pro-Israel. There's not a single Israeli because of his stand from being pro-Israel who lost their job, got deported, being blacklisted with the company, being doxxed. This is what happened on their side. And many of those, and the Jewish people who actually got hurt were the people on the pro-Palestinian side. There are like Jewish professors who lost their position because they stood with the pro-Palestinian side. But they don't talk to you about that. They want you to think it is Jewish people against everybody else. They don't talk to you about the Jewish Voices for Peace, the people who their slogan is "Not in my name." We will not allow Israel to use our name in order to continue with this genocide. They are not telling you about the Israeli blog that was in all of the university protests or in all of the protests in London and in Paris and in New York. They want to, again, the same image that they were created in Israel, the way that they use that propaganda in order to blind you of what's happening. They're not telling you about the other side. So they keep putting you in that box. It is Jewish people against everybody else. It is not true.
Talking about patterns, like you said earlier, some of the documents you sent us that I found interesting was just the history dating back of how long Israel has been influencing America's government.
Yes.
Can you talk to us about some of that?
Yeah, well, it's you have a lobby group called AIPAC, which should under American law be registered as a foreign entity, a foreign lobby group, but it's not, and because of its mention, it is registered as local.
The best part about podcasters like this is when they have someone who is aligned with the cause on board, because these guys are not going to craft like anything cynical here to try to force Bassem Youssef into a well, why do you align with Hamas style position, or try to trap him into something that he doesn't believe, forcing him to like concede on a position that he doesn't actually believe so that they can endlessly smear him.